at number 25, right there, Florida, got in. But you'll see at number 23, the team they just beat, Tennessee. This will never make sense to me. I will never be okay with this. This is what I was running into the first time that I was trying to do the rankings here at Fox Sports, and I was trying to come up with something that I thought was a little bit more egalitarian and democratic, and y'all hated it, so I got away with it. We went away from it, and we do eye testing things now. But if I'm a Florida fan, I'm like, how difficult would it be for y'all to just make us 23 and them 25 if you got to have them in there at all? Instead, you got to see a team that you just beat by 2 scores ranked ahead of you. Why? Because some voters apparently still think that Tennessee is a better football team than Florida, even though we got a scoreboard that says Florida beat Tennessee. Scoreboard got to mean something, guys. I understand that people really like to put what they think is an eye test team up against another eye test team. But if you get your butt kicked, that should reflect here. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing? Why are we playing? Why do we ask the kids to go out there and sweat and risk injury if we're not going to respect the score? Stupid, I'm telling you. And then at number 3, we got Texas here, who is flying, as I said, very close to the sun. I don't know that Texas is the number 3 team in the country. But then again, I was sure that Florida State wasn't the number 3 team in the country, and they dropped 4 off of a win. Yeah, I got questions about them. And I got questions about Penn State, and I got questions about Washington. And frankly, I was having this conversation with producer Tyler about who we think is good. And this is before Georgia and Michigan had played. We're like, okay, most of us agree about Georgia and Michigan. And then their first half looked real suspect. I saw J.J. McCarthy throw 3 interceptions to Bowling Green. And Georgia was down 14-3 at half to South Carolina at home. So now you can go really 1 through what? Golly, it's really difficult to look at 1 through 5 and say which one of those teams is the best. And it's really difficult to basically go, I could pick 20 of these teams right now and feel good about it, right? And as far as making the college football playoff, because we don't really know much, but we're about to. The reason that it's real difficult to nail down who's good is the out-of-conference schedules are really slated to, the blue blood. They get to pick who they play and who they pay. So for instance, Ohio State stopped a mud hole in Western Kentucky and walked it dry, rock bottomed the Hilltoppers 63-10. But then you'll look and they paid $1.8 million to WKU for that game. Right? This is why it's difficult. Like the best team that Ohio State has played so far this year is Indiana. And Indiana ain't no good. Ain't no good. And we got Texas at 3 here because I think of an over-evaluation for their win against Alabama, who sits there at number 13 and is outside the top 10 for the first time since 2015. Again, this is a new feeling for Alabama fans of late, there's an 8-year-old who's never seen Alabama outside of the top 10 till today. Wild. And you already got people going, is Nick Saban over it? I'm going, oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Alabama ain't got no quarterback. We know that for sure against South Florida. I think Jalen Milroe is going to probably get the start because he looks the best of those 3 against Ole Miss and Tuscaloosa. But again, the last time Jalen Milroe got a start, and it was in Tuscaloosa, you lost to this Texas team. I don't think that Alabama is as good as we might have thought, but I don't think that Texas is that much better than USC, which is the only team here that absolutely terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. There's nothing you can do to stop Caleb Williams doing what he does. They got 2 tailbacks that I trust. They got 4 wide receivers that I trust. And they got a defense that looks credible. We're going to find out because, fortunate for us, the Pac-12 is heavy, man. Look at this. You got Washington at 8. You got Oregon at 10. You got Utah at 11. That's 4 teams inside the top 11 from the Pac-12. And that's where we talk about Oregon State, who is a hammer. And talk about Wazoo at 21, who is a hammer. We're going to learn some stuff about the Pac-12. I would not be surprised to find out the Pac-12 gets team in the college football playoff in its final year. And that would be poetic, right? Be Shakespearean, but it'd also be poetic. Looking at my rankings compared to the AP Top 25, I saw no reason to change what I mostly had, right? Basically, I didn't have a change till I got to 7, where I moved Florida State up because I I can't let that Tennessee loss slide. You can see they're at 25 for me, but I also got Clemson at 24. I think Clemson is a good football team that did not show that against Duke. And the more I watch that Duke game and the more I watch Duke play football, it's not just that Duke's a good football team, it's that Clemson played a awfully weird football game against Duke on Labor Day. I think they're going to clean it up. I think they're going to be okay. But I'm looking at Texas at 5, which is where I put the team that I'm like, I don't know, maybe you make the college football playoff, maybe you win the Big 12 championship. But then the team I got ranked at 16, my Oklahoma Sooners, they look capable of playing and winning a Big 12 championship. Again, Oklahoma fans going, RJ, didn't we do this last year? Didn't we do this last year when they went 3-0 and they stopped the mud hole in Nebraska? We felt real good, and all we do is go 6-7. Yeah, we did. But you know what? We're here again, and you only get 12 games. So I'm going to be positive. I'm going to think positive thoughts. I'm going to get on my Leroy Thompson, and I'm going to put my hands together, and I'm going to say, national championship cometh to me now. I'm going to speak it into existence. Rhema word of God. I'm going to speak it into existence, because what else do we have to do here? I refuse to be pessimistic at this point. I can't. I'm over it. And if you're a Michigan fan, you're like, okay, cool. Glad we got that bad win out of our system before you start to play your Big Ten schedule. Ohio State at number 3, they get to prove it for me and others against Notre Dame later this week. So does Notre Dame, for that matter. That's going to be fun. Both of those teams are so evenly matched for me, man. Like, I can't wait to see a good, solid Ohio State defense play against a good, solid Notre Dame offense. I think that's going to be spectacular. I'm so looking forward to that game. But there's a bunch of games on tap this weekend that I am so looking forward to. We mentioned Colorado, Oregon. Alabama, Ole Miss is going to be awesome. I really like looking at that. Oregon State versus Washington State is sneaky good. You're going to see a hammer of a defense versus a high-flying, explosive offense with a defensive head coach. I mean, this is going to be awesome. Like, I'm so looking forward to this week in a way that we weren't looking forward to last week. But I'm also kind of circling around like Washington, going, okay, I know that Michael Penix is good. I'm not sure about Washington. You beat the hell out of a Michigan State team that is in the middle of a sexual harassment scandal for its head coach. You had to pull Mark D'Antonio out of retirement to make sure that the ship continued to sail the direction that it's supposed to. We'll see. Utah. I don't know anything about Utah. Who does? Cam Rising ain't played. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they better? I would think so, because I think Cam Rising makes them a better football team, because they basically have an Alabama problem right now. They've just been able to overcome it in the way that Alabama hasn't, because Utah didn't play Texas. Utah played Florida, who beat Tennessee. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense right now. LSU looks like, okay, cool. We have figured out perhaps that we can fix our own mistakes and be a great football team, because that's what it is, right? And that's how I do these rankings. If everything goes the way that it should, who wins? Talent on talent, coach on coach, player on player, schematic for schematic. That's how you do these things now. And frankly, again, I go back to USC. That's the only team I feel like I know something about. And it's the only team that I think terrifies me. But I'm also looking at Colorado going, okay, they're going to start sliding because Travis Hunter means so much to them. I mean, you're losing 2 players. But also, we're going to see what kind of depth they have. And I think they're pretty deep. I think you can go to Quimani McClain if you must, right? I think that Kendrick Breedlove's probably going to get his butt coached off this week by Charles Kelly, who had to be driven mad watching Torrey Horton just go to work on him with the same play. All right, you can see I got Alabama ranked ahead of Colorado, 13 and 14. And I'm looking at that, and it didn't dawn on me until I had done it, because I'm trying to do these things as they come, that would be one hell of a bowl game. Nick Saban versus Prime? Charles Kelly versus Alabama? I'm here for it. Shedeur Sanders versus that defense, who, by the way, is filthy. Like, we're focused on the quarterback situation because, well, people focus on quarterbacks, and, being a quarterback, I understand. But the defenses are the reason that these teams are good or bad. And Alabama can play defense. And I think it's the kind of football team that Nick Saban likes to have. He doesn't like high-flying offenses. He uses them because they win, right? What he would rather do is throw the ball into the stomach of a running back and pound people and then play outstanding defense, murder ball, as people like to call it. And we're going to see how far that can carry them in this SEC, because they might be just the 3rd best team in their own division. We're going to figure out a lot about them. We're going to figure out a lot about Clemson and Florida State. Florida State on fraud alert for me, 31-29 to BC in a game where BC had 18 penalties for 131 yards. I don't trust this team, man. I don't know who you are. I know you're talented, but I also know you got the dropsies. I know you can pass rush, but you can't sack the quarterback one time against BC. Show me something against Clemson in Death Valley. Then we can talk about something. But you know what? I'm still inclined to think that North Carolina might be a better football team. That's where we are right now, fam. But again, we're heading into October. It's about to become a blood sport. We're about to throw everybody into a Fortnite battle royale and say, fight! Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.